going to say the same thing tomorrow when I do my picks video, but let's get into week 13 of the NFL Power Rankings. What is up, football fans? Week 13 of the NFL Power Rankings, and I didn't even say if they went up, if they went down, because if I go back, maybe I will. Maybe I'll let you know who went up and who went down, because it's just craziness. Craziness. There we go. Did rip the first time. Because there's people that aren't in my top 10 that have never been in my top 10 that are in my top 10. So, so we're going to jump into this Mammoth Jam. Go from 10 to 1. I'm going to tell you why they're where they're at. Honorable mentions. I got Seattle. They got beat, right? Last week they got beat. They got beat pretty bad, 31-13. But to me, they're still kind of a good team. They're a playoff team. Geno Smith is dealing with some things, but I still have them there. Did I have them in the top 10 last week? No, I had them in honorable mentions again. I got the Browns also in honorable mentions. Their offense is a problem. Their defense wasn't that much of a problem, but they did get beat pretty bad, 29-12. And then I have the Steelers in there, who did win their game. But their offense is just too bad for me to put them in the top 10. I couldn't. That's why I have them in honorable mention. Their offense is bad. It's real bad. But we're going to jump into the top 10 right now. We're going to start with my number 10 team, and that is the Indianapolis Colts. Now, the Colts are a little bit on a little bit of a win streak right now. They are on a 3-game win streak, sitting at 6-5. That whole AFC South is very interesting because you got Houston at 6-5, the Colts at 6-5, and Jacksonville at 8-3. Not a lot of people thought that the South would be that competitive, especially with the Texans, who can be considered another honorable mention. Spoiler, they didn't make my top 10 just because they lost that game against Jacksonville. But the Colts are playing pretty well. Beating Tampa Bay 27-20. Like I said, they're on a 3-game winning streak, and if the season ended today, they would be the number 7 seed and in the playoffs. So to me, that's why I have them at number 10. I like the way they're playing right now. I like the way Gardner Minshew's playing, and Taylor's really helping them in the run game. So I got them at my number 10. My number 9 team. This team has never broke my top 10. But this team deserves to break my top 10, and that is, Brandon, this is for you, the Denver Broncos. Even though, Brandon Perna, I don't know if you're watching this video, but if you are watching this video, I want to say that you guys deserve to be in the top 10. I'll get into why. But also, your curse wheel tried to take out my Dolphins. I won't forget that. I don't have a curse wheel of my own, but your curse wheel tried to take my Dolphins out. It didn't succeed. It chipped us, but it didn't succeed. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. But the Denver Broncos are definitely, in my opinion, deserving of being in my top 10 anyway. I don't know about other people's top 10, but they're on a 5-game winning streak. They beat the Browns, the Vikings, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Packers. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Vikings, and the Browns aren't anything to really laugh at. The Packers maybe a little bit, but not the other 4 teams. And it's a 5-game winning streak. They started the season doo-doo butter. Now they're 6-5. Really good team. Their defense is playing really well. It's a team that, you can't go, oh, we're going to win this one. Chalk this up to a win anymore, because they're playing super competitive. They just beat the Browns. So, got them in my top 10. Much deserving. And Brandon, again, I'm watching you. The next team on my list, the number 8 team, they fell. How far did they fall? They fell from 4. Last week they were 4. And that is the Detroit Lions. You got beat. You got beat bad on Christmas, I was going to say. On Thanksgiving. I don't want to hear nothing about no moon. You got beat bad. Holy guacamole, Batman. I remember I kept going outside. I had my wife's family over. It was like 25, 30 people in my house. I'm walking around. I kept stopping looking. Is that really the score? Holy crap, this is score. And that's why he fell so far, in my opinion. Should have took care of business against the Packers. He didn't. And now the Packers are nipping at your heels. The Packers are now the 8th seed, sitting there at 5-6, only 3 games behind. They now have, they don't have a tiebreaker, but they split with you guys. They're 1 game out of getting that last wild card spot. Should have took care of business, but that's why I got you guys in my number 8 spot, my number 7 spot. This team has been bouncing around my top 10 power ranking forever, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. They go from playing really well to getting their butts blown out by the 49ers to then playing well again. They won last week, beating the Texans, which kind of helped them almost seal having the AFC South. Also put them up to the number 3 seed. They are currently on a nice little win, and that's why I got them at the 7th seed. They played hard. That Texans Jaguars game was a good game, and it's so funny. Texans beat the crap out of the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Jacksonville goes to Tennessee, goes to Houston, and does their thing against the Texans. So to me, the number 3 seed, you should be in the top 10, and there you go. You are my number 7 team. My number 6 team. This team has been beating up on some people. Beating up, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. Now, don't get me wrong; they're on a 3-game winning streak. Their last 3 games were huge wins. But the opponents that they had these huge wins against are the Commanders, 45-10. The Panthers, 33-10. The Giants, 49-17. Again, you're number 6. You're number 6 on my list for obvious reasons. You're playing really well. If it wasn't for the Philadelphia Eagles being 10-1, you'd probably be number 1 in that division, sitting at the 5 seed. You're deserving being 8-3, but you beat up on some cupcake teams, and that's coming from me, a Dolphins fan. So I got you guys at number 6. The number 5 team on my list is the Miami Dolphins. Now you might say, "Hey Doug, you just said what you said against the Cowboys. Why are you putting the Dolphins at 5?" Well, a Denver Broncos team, they dropped 70 on them. That's not why. I just wanted to repeat it because they're a really good team now, and the Dolphins dropped 70 on them. The Miami Dolphins defense is really coming into it and playing really well. Right now, they are number 7 in yards, number 6 in rushing defense, number 11th in passing defense. Essentially, they're almost a top 10 defense to tag along with the number 1 offense in number 1 in yards, number 2 in points, number 2 in rushing. It's this team just needs to get their stuff together. And the reason I have them at 5, right? Because I obviously have three teams ahead of them, 2 of them that have almost identical records, is because of the fact that the offense is falling off. If the offense didn't fall off the past 3 games and kind of has struggled at times, they'd be in a different subject because they'd be 9-2 and would have beat the Chiefs, but they didn't, so they're not. And that's why I got them at number 5, because the defense is really starting to play really well, and the offense needs to figure it out. Plus, last week, they beat the crap out of the Jets. So to me, that's deserving of being number 5. You put all those factors together. And you could call it a little bit of homerism, but I gave you some facts, and you could sprinkle on a little homerism. On top of that, the number 4 team on my list, Chickaplow. I didn't realize I made their logo so big. There we go. Is the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens are my number 4 team. They right now, they're currently the number 1 seed. They're on a 2-game winning streak. Had a sloppy game against the Browns. Came back, did their business against the Bengals. But that Chargers game on Sunday night, that is why I have them at 4, and I have the 3 teams ahead of them that I have, is because of the Chargers game. Now, I understand they're the number 1 seed, and you need to respect the fact that they're the number 1 seed. It also does help that they haven't had a bye yet, so that's kind of why they're the number 1 seed, because they have 9 wins. But that Chargers game made me very apprehensive about them. It shouldn't have been as close as it was, especially with the defense and the offense the Ravens have. So that's for my only reason I have them at number 4. Plus, I think the 3 teams that I have listed ahead of them are the better teams. Number 3, Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs had a nice bounce back game after losing to the Eagles. They beat the Raiders 31-17. At one point, I thought, oh my goodness, the Chiefs are going to lose to the Raiders, because I think it was like 14-3 at one point, and I was like, it's happening. Oh my God, there's the downfall. Holy guac. But it didn't happen. Chiefs are still the Chiefs. They still play hard, and that's why I have them above the Ravens, is because they still keep that competitiveness throughout, whereas the Ravens, that's kind of been up and down, and they're the defending Super Bowl champions, so I like the way they're playing, and I got them at number 3. Now there's only 2 teams left, and this can't be a possible Super Bowl because they're both in NFC. I was about to be like, possible Super Bowl. It can't be. My number 2 team is the San Francisco 49ers. The reason they're number 2 is the way they've been winning their games. They are on a 3-game winning streak. They just beat up on the Seattle Seahawks 31-13. The week before, they beat up on the Buccaneers 27-14. And the week before that, they beat up on the Jacksonville Jaguars 34-3. Before that, they had a lot of people were questioning them because they were on a 3-game losing streak. I think they were on a 3-game losing streak. Let me double check my facts. They were on a 3-game losing streak, losing to the Browns, Vikings, and Bengals. So they're sitting there at 5-3, and a lot of people are like, what's going on with San Fran? And then San Fran was like, we're going to trade for Chase Young, and y'all can keep your mouth shut. And we're keeping our mouth shut because they're doing their business. And that's why, to me, they're the number 2 on my power ranking. They're not just beating teams, and they're not just beating good teams like Seattle and Jacksonville, but they're beating the snot out of them. So that's why they're my number 2 team. And my number 1 team, it's obvious. It is the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, they're the only one lost team, and the Sunday game against the Bills showed their versatility. I thought they were going to lose that game, and I was like, wow, because they played, I'm not going to lie, their defense didn't play great in that game. Their offense was struggling at some points in that game, and I was like, what is going on with this Eagles team? And it still boggles my mind that the one loss is to the Jets. How did you lose to the Jets? Explain it to me. And the funny thing is, they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Jalen Hurts had a 59.5 passer rating against the Jets, and Tua had a 77.5. How did you lose to the Jets? But hey, you're the best team in football as of right now. 10-1. You got I think you got a little bit of a tough schedule coming up. You got San Fran, then Dallas. I think it'll be Dallas, Seattle. The rest of your schedule is pretty much cakewalk. The hardest game you got left is this week coming up, San Fran. Other than that, Cowboys could give you trouble, but then you got Seattle, Giants, Cardinals, Giants. You're going to win those games. So enjoy number 1, in my opinion. Comment below. What is your top 10 power ranking? Do you disagree with some of mine? Let me know. Comment below. I'll see you guys tonight with the recap of episode 2 of Hard Knocks. And then I will see you guys tomorrow with the picks. And then I'll see you Friday with the preview. And then I'll see you Sunday for the game. Going to Washington to take on the Commanders. Well, other than that, like usual, stay classy. Our friends up.